In this video, we are going to look at Waterfall. Waterfall is considered the traditional software development method, right? It's very linear, so it clearly outlines what the steps are supposed to be, okay? Let's look at the first step, is analysis. So at the beginning, a team is supposed to analyze the project. We are talking about, for example, software development, right? So imagine a mobile application. We are going to develop a mobile application, so let's analyze it first. Okay, the outcome of the analysis phase should be a business requirement document. Okay, so this is a document. At the end of the analysis, a team should come with a set of papers, a set of documents, or it's actually one document but multiple pages, and here they have the business requirements. So what the business needs to develop, what are the requirements? That's the first step. Actually, why is it called waterfall? Because you can imagine this set of linear steps as a staircase where the water just literally falls down. So yeah, I don't want to mess it up right now, but imagine the water is just falling down. So that's why it's called waterfall. So it also indicates how rigid the structure is, because it just doesn't change. You cannot start with deployment before analysis. You cannot test before you analyze. You cannot develop before you analyze or design, right? So the steps are clearly outlined. It's like when you go to a shop for some groceries, you also don't go to shop and then start thinking like, hey, what am I going to cook and what am I going to buy? You first think, hey, I need to buy some groceries because we are going to cook something. So what are we going to cook? What kind of groceries do I need to buy? And only then you go to a shop, right? So this is also a clear structure that is used in software development lifecycle. You start with analysis. The second step is design. So the outcome of the design phase is a system analysis. So imagine 2-3 people sitting together, talking together for a few days, and coming up with an analysis of the system that is affected. This is especially important if you work with multiple systems affected. So say you want to build a data warehouse in a corporation. A data warehouse collects data from multiple, for example, subsidiaries, multiple sub-companies, multiple systems. So different systems are affected. Different systems need to start exporting data. So we need to analyze what systems are affected, into which extent, what does need to change in those systems. All right. So this is the design phase. By design, we don't mean like user interface design where you have a screen. It could be also, obviously, but say at the beginning you have this infrastructure design, architecture. So system architecture is also referred to as design often. Okay, so you design, you analyze, and only then you start developing. So after everything is designed, it could obviously include user interface design, the input from a user experience designer, user interface designer. Only then developers start coding. So here we have developers, and developers receive these documents. So say this is a set of documents here. Developers receive these documents and they start coding. This is the development. So developers start coding, and the outcome after a few weeks or months is software development code. So the developers send it like, now we've finished, here is the code. This is the code you can deploy. First you need to test it and then deploy. So here could be again a few testers just sitting and maybe testing. So say this is a chair, so someone is sitting here and testing the code after the code is developed, right? It's coded. So someone is testing, and the outcome of the tests is UAT, user acceptance tests. Okay, so UAT refers to user acceptance tests. And the user acceptance tests is a set of say checklists. You have a a checklist. What is all the functionality the software, the new software should be able to do in, if I say it easily. So here we outline all the steps, the functionality, and before it's deployed, it needs to pass all the tests. So if we say that the application should be able to register a user and log in a user and send forgotten password, then these are three tests that need to be performed before it is deployed. Okay, so during testing we need to test this functionality and only then we deploy it to production. So the code is suddenly in production. Okay, deployment is usually an activity. So this is a process. This could take weeks, months, maybe a year to develop. Testing, it could take from 1 day to maybe 2, 3, 4 months. And deployment is an activity when we say, it also doesn't take a millisecond. It could take 1 to 3 days. It could take maybe a week if it is really complex, but still compared to development, this is just a tiny little activity. Someone needs to push a button, and then the scripts are deployed to production. If, for example, a database is affected, then it could take longer. The database maybe needs to migrate or change or whatever. I don't want to go into details so you are not confused. What is important to know right now is the deployment is the act of sending the code, shipping the code from where from developers to production. So we ship the code to customers, in other words, while the customer, for example, uses a mobile phone to access the application or the website or whatever other system. And then we maintain it. So if I would demonstrate it on a scale, on a timeline, then here we have maintenance. Somewhere here we deploy it. So this would be deployment, and here we test it. So this is testing. Here we code, and we design. Oh, I cannot write this way. And at the beginning we analyze. Okay, so here again, someone has an idea. It could be a wonderful idea. Someone needs to analyze it, then design it, then code it, then test it. Then there is this deployment, which is an activity here, and then we maintain it ongoingly. Okay. In the previous video, we talked about the disposal phase, which could be, just stopping it in production. It could be throwing it to the trash. It could be disposing the hardware. It's not outlined in these 5 steps, but we've already talked about the software development lifecycle. There is some activity, even though it's not outlined in these 6 steps of waterfall method. So that's it. This is what you as a technical recruiter need to know right now. You need to know what are the steps in waterfall.